Hi, this is Josh Belk with the Belk on Business podcast. Thank you for taking a few moments to listen in today. Right now, kind of given what we've been dealing with here in recent days with a lot of employees being laid off and businesses needing to evaluate, or business owners need to evaluate as far as when they open back up, who do they bring back on? And it has been a question that we've been asked in our firm, and I think beyond that, just kind of going through periodically needing to analyze our employees and whether or not we're downsizing. I think there are some elements that we need to look at as it relates to analyzing our employees. So whether it's we're reopening our businesses and where you need to determine, okay, who do we bring back on, or we need to downsize our business, or maybe we just need to clean things up. We need to sharpen the pencil and make a decision on on the personnel side. What we need to do. Now, a lot of the podcasts that I record, it's generally something that kind of really touches both ends, the employer and the employee side. And I think if you're an employee listening to this, there may be some elements of this that may be helpful as far as maybe in additional ways that you can bring value to your employer. But I think it's really going to come from the end of from the employer side. So those of us who are business owners, we have employees and we have decisions we have to make. Right now is a very critical time. The economy was roaring, and then kind of with this whole COVID-19 coronavirus situation, the economy in many ways, I wouldn't say it's crashed, but it's definitely come to a screeching halt and has taken some serious steps backwards. So we're analyzing our employees, and I just jotted down 9 things as I kind of went through, and some of the material I was reading as well in recent days kind of sparked a little bit of thought here on what do we look at when we're analyzing our employees. I think number one, we really need to find out, and this is true regardless if we're hiring somebody new or analyzing our existing employees, are they on board with the vision? The vision that we have for our company, the vision that we have even for our employees, really should be shared with them and communicated well with them. And really, we should, and I think we should expect our key employees. I wouldn't say necessarily I don't when I say bottom line employees, I don't mean to be disrespectful, but those that we aren't expecting to generate revenue for us. But for any of those key type of employees, we really need to make sure that they understand and they're on board with the vision. Secondly, do they have a servant spirit? Do they have a good attitude? I had a gentleman in a mastermind share a book with me here in recent months called Hiring for Attitude. Kind of really gets into, I think attitude is essential. And I think of any sort of attitude that we really should look for in our employees is that of, do they have a servant spirit? When we ask them to do something, are they willing to help? If we have a client that needs help with something, do they have a servant spirit? Number 3, it doesn't mean they're yes men or yes ladies. What it does mean is that when you ask them to do something and it aligns with the vision, it helps the clients, it helps the business overall, that they're quickly there to serve. Third, do they follow instructions? Do they follow instructions? And I think for all of us as employers, we need to constantly be investing in our employees. And one key way that we can invest in them is to clearly communicate with them and help them with areas maybe they are struggling with in their work, or maybe they need some clarity. But from the employee side, one way that we can evaluate whether or not they are a good employee is whether or not they pick up on what they're being taught. Now, I think first thing we need to do is look at ourselves to make sure that the way that we're communicating with them is effective for the way that they receive information. But we should be able to expect our employees after at least the second or third time to be able to pick up on the instructions and be able to follow whatever it is that we're needing them to do as far as at the task level. Number 4. So do they follow instructions? Do they learn within 3 times of being told? I just mentioned that. Number 5, can they apply knowledge across projects or clients? As a business owner, it can get very, very frustrating when we invest in our employees and we teach them how to do something, or the thought process on how to do something, and then they come back, well, okay, so how do I do this again? And they're not able to take the information that they've learned and apply it to a different client, to a different project. And so a good employee will be one that can take the information that they've learned, the things that you have taught them, and be able to apply it in other projects and with other clients. So sometimes sometimes maybe they just need to hear whatever it is that they're being taught from another voice. And I think it's important many times to get our employees in front of other people, because sometimes they can maybe get a little bit of a deaf ear to our content instruction. So maybe sometimes kind of bringing in a different voice to try to help them, whether it's a class online, maybe it's an outside consultant that comes in and provides a new voice for them to be able to learn what they need to learn. Number 6, are they actively learning? So an employee that's coming maybe with ideas, something they've read, something they've learned someplace else, and is able to help share in bringing ideas, I think is essential. Is if you have that type of employee, you have a good employee. And I don't think it's too much to ask as an employer to expect our employees to constantly be learning. To be reading a book, to being able to find other ways to become more effective in the workplace. Because bottom line, things are going to be more competitive. They are now. As the economy opens back up, it's going to be a competitive environment. And for those employees and those individuals looking for work who are working on themselves, who just haven't been sitting around and just watching Netflix and eating this entire time, but have taken this time to try to really kind of sharpen the pencil in their own life to lift their own lids, it will be the type of people you want to hire going forward. Number 7, are they timely? Are they on time for meetings? Do they show up for work on time? Kind of the basics. And so a good employee is one that shows up on time. If they do need to call off, they're prompt in letting you know what's going on. They communicate well with you as it relates to time off. If they're struggling and they're having issues, they communicate that with you. If they're having on time, having a problem with timeliness, getting into meetings, that type of thing, very much a sign of disrespect, not only to you as an employer, but also to the client as well. Number 8, do they build and cultivate internal and external relationships? Are they good people? Okay, do they work well? Do they play well with others? Do they work well internally with fellow team members? And they also do well as far as working with clients externally as well. And then lastly, number 9 here, jotted down, are they profitable to the business? So when you look at them, do they bring value? Every employee that we look at, we should be able to look at them and I wouldn't say put a dollar sign on their head, but can we look at them and say, okay, this is the amount of value that this employee brings to the business. Do they truly bring value? Another way maybe we can look at this is this employee an investment? Somebody I feel like every time that I pay them, every time I say sign the paycheck or have their paycheck directly deposited into their account, do I feel like I've really invested in that person, or are they simply just an expense? So when I'm analyzing employees, those employees who we feel like are just an expense, I just have a heart for them. I'm just trying to help them, that type of thing. Another tool as far as that we can use as far as whether or not that employee is bringing us value and whether or not it's an employee that really maybe we should maybe consider letting go, replacing, whatever the case may be. So once again, just 9 items here as far as analyzing employees, something that may help as far as things to look at, whether or not we're looking to bring employees back on, downsizing our business, or whatever the case may be. Hopefully this brought you value. Once again, this is Josh Belk with the Belk on Business podcast. Have a wonderful day.